Hi everyone, and good day to you, whatever time zone that you find yourself. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Here we are once again on behalf of the Nutrition Society of Nigeria, the Student Assembly. We are coming up again with our series. This is first episode of episode that we'll be having in the next couple of days, and we title it "Beyond Being a Graduate of Nutrition and Dietetics." Beyond being a graduate of nutrition and dietetics. You can recall during the course of NSN conference, we had a wonderful engagement session where we talked about what does it take to be a nutrition and dietetics graduate, and how, all right, do we go about becoming one. So today we have a guest with us. She's going to introduce herself, and then she'll tell us more about herself and then how life has been for her as someone who came into nutrition, as someone who seemed to perhaps be out of nutrition, and as someone who is also actively involved in nutrition agenda. So I'm going to call on my dear friend, Oghenefego Ofili, to kindly tell us a brief about herself. Hi, Fego. It's good to see you.
Hello. Hey, Dr. Leshi. Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. It's a great
Yeah.
pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Yes.
You asked me to introduce myself, right?
Yes, please.
Can I go ahead? Okay.
Please
Okay.
go.
I'm Oghenefego Ofili. Uh, I have a PhD in human nutrition and dietetics. I run a media production company based in Lagos, Nigeria. And it's been an interesting journey for me, being a nutritionist and also having a lot of my work having to do with media, which actually aligns with my passion and what I believe is my purpose in life. So I'm hoping that as we go on with this conversation, you begin to know more about what I do and how I'm able to combine my nutrition background with the media world. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Fego, for telling us brief about yourself. Many people may not even know that you have PhD in nutrition. So, guys, Fego is a doctor of nutrition. So that means she had BSc, MSc, and she kind of at the peak, the last degree that you can ever have in any field. PhD, Dr. Fego. All right. So please, Fego, I will just quickly ask you this afternoon about how did you get to nutrition? Did you wander into nutrition, or nutrition wander into you? How did you get into nutrition?
Okay. Yeah, interesting question. How did I get so my journey into nutrition or my interest in nutrition came from, I guess, my childhood. My dad has a PhD. He retired as a professor or associate professor in animal nutrition. So I kind of grew up in a house where we paid attention to a lot of eating healthy and all. So I already had that kind of background and growing up. But what made me really decide to go the path of nutrition was my BSc is actually in biochemistry, and I honestly struggled with biochemistry pathways and all that. But I found out that the courses that were nutrition biochemistry, I enjoyed them totally. In fact, I did personal research on those courses that had to do with nutrition in biochemistry. So that's how I began to identify that okay, there's something about me and nutrition, and I need to really pay attention to it. So by the time it was time for me to go for my MSc, and I was going through the options I had in UI. By the time I saw human nutrition, I knew that was where I was going to be, because it had the angle of public health, community nutrition and all. And that's really, it ties into what I am as a person. I'm someone who wants to communicate. I'm someone who wants to educate people. So having an opportunity to learn more about this nutrition that I have always been interested in, and then be able to share with others and have the opportunity to even educate others on this topic was something that I was so attracted to. So by the time I was filling my form, deciding on the course to come in for at postgraduate level, there was no doubt I was coming for nutrition. So that's how I got into nutrition. I don't know if nutrition happened to me or I happened to nutrition. I think there was this connection from the beginning, and that's how it happened. Yeah.
Wow, great. Some of us actually we happen to nutrition, we wander into nutrition. Why some people nutrition caught them. So I'm happy that nutrition happened to be something that you fell in love with, and then you guys can also can hear her that she actually had biochemistry as a bachelor's, and then she moved
Yes.
from being a biochemist, the world of pathways, and to the world of
Yes.
nutrition, where we deal with reality, and then we also apply some of those things, not about pathways and the rest. So,
Yeah.
Pego, please,
Mm-hmm.
are you uh, currently practicing as a nutritionist, a dietitian? Remember when you were introducing yourself, you talk about the fact that you have a media company. Tell us how come you are now into media. Tell us your story, please.
Okay. So this is a story that I don't get tired of sharing because I think it helps a lot of other people release themselves from this struggle of you must actually just stay in one path in your life. And most of us now begin to cut off our natural giftings and talents because we want to stay the course of whatever our academic pursuits are. So the connection between me and media also started from childhood, where I noticed that I was quite reserved. I think I still am a very reserved person. So, but when you are in the media space, you have to, right, socialize and all. But yeah, so I'm naturally someone who is reserved, and I spent most of my time as a child while others were out there, outdoors playing, making friends and all. I found myself in my room quietly, either writing a story or drawing or trying to read newspapers and respond to, in those days, the Vanguard, the Guardian, Observer newspaper, for those of us who were in Bendel. They had articles and then they had comment sessions where they asked people, readers, to submit their opinions and all. And as a child in primary school, going to secondary school, I knew that I used to try and reply and make my own comments and send by post office to those newspaper houses. So from my childhood, I was that person who was very reserved and quiet, and found writing and telling stories as an opportunity to really let out what was really happening inside of me. I also was doing a lot of illustrations like cartoons, drama and all. So that part of me, the artistic part of me, has always been there. I also remember while we're traveling on the road, my dad driving or something. I'm looking out the windows and just imagining if I had a camera, I could capture or make a video of the trees as we're passing by, nature and all. So by the time I was in university and was able to get pocket money, my first savings I used it to get a camera, analog camera, with the ones you put film and all. So it brings me back to it was a natural attraction for me and something that seemed to have tied to the skills and talents I have. So how do I now combine my nutrition studies and being in the media space? So what happened for me was, while I was an academic, I actually started my first publication in Inspiro. The name of my company is still Inspiro International. I started as a magazine as an undergraduate. Okay, so I was studying biochemistry, but I was editing and publishing a magazine on campus that was being sold on campus. So you can already see what was happening. The pictures we used for the first edition of the magazine were all taken by me with my that camera I bought. So I could already see that, okay, this passion that I have, or what we would have called a hobby growing up, was becoming something I was now becoming serious about. Had a team of friends who were working with me on this publication. And by the time I graduated, I volunteered a lot with various non-profit organizations. And I naturally wanted to just be in the space where I was gathering news, taking pictures for them, designing newsletters and all. So I did that for a while, and I have to set up a business because people began to demand for that service. It wasn't about just volunteering anymore. People began to see me as someone who is in the media space and could help them get their stories out, the projects they're doing, to for more people to know about it. And so that started slowly as a business. While I was doing my MSc, I was still involved in that by the side. But after MSc, I incorporated the business, and it's been great. So if you now come to my during my MSc years, right, classes, we had courses that made us do nutrition education, and I was very, very excited about those courses. And God bless his soul, Professor Akinyele, who was one of my lecturers at the time, gave us an opportunity. Got a grant, and we're able to. I was able to design with some of my colleagues, design a project, nutrition education project in communities in a particular local government in Oyo State, and community drama, using IEC materials, developing IEC materials. Those things are media related activities. But you see, because I already had that passion, I already had that kind of skill naturally, um, it became like what do you call it? It became very, very easy for me to always delve into nutrition education and looking at how we can do behavior change using media. And so little wonder why my PhD also focused on behavior change communication, when we're now dealing with mothers, pregnant and lactating mothers, and getting them to practice child to practice the child survival strategy. So my life is actually the combination of both. I always naturally look for a way to bring the media part of me, the communicator part of me, to whatever I'm doing in the nutrition space. And I think it's a very interesting combination. Then when we started, it didn't make sense. People were like, you are a scientist, for crying out loud. So what are you doing in the arts? Because they just called media the arts. But there's a very strong connection, because by the time you're talking about social behavior change communication, you begin to use communication theories, even in public health. So that's been my journey, and I hope it's been clear to a large extent. Over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. Wow, I see how you started. You start from just doing it for fun, and now it's now doing it for business. And but let's quickly go back to your studentship, your experience as student. You talked about the fact that everything started while you were in school, and then there was
Yeah.
opportunities. So how do you maximize? Of course, as a student, um, there are challenges: your studies, your academics, as well as place of passion. I know many students also have passion for other things. Though some could have passion for um, fashion, some business, buy and selling, a number of things that people. Some are even into coding, to graphics
Yeah.
design, and the rest. How did you maximize the place of your passion and then balancing it with your academics? Tell us about your frustration in the course of your studies and how you got out.
Okay. So let me I think I will stay with the undergraduate years, because that's really where I started, and you could see the like I was should I say, struggling to ensure that I did not throw out my passion, and still trying to make sure that I was making good grades to pass to the next class, I should say. But the struggle was there, especially when you are studying biochemistry and there are pathways to cram, and then you are finding it difficult to cram, but you have something else that you can do even with your eyes closed, and it comes so naturally and easy to you. So there's that frustration of, God, what am I doing here? Why didn't I just go and study mass comm? But many of us kids who grew up in those years, once they see that you're brilliant, they believe you're supposed to be parents. I'm referring to parents now. Believe you're supposed to be maybe a medical doctor, an engineer. You have to be in the sciences. Nobody wanted to hear anybody was in the arts. So I am one of those who had to be in the sciences because they believe that you were intelligent. So science did not come naturally for me. Science is something I had to put a lot of effort to go through. That struggle was there, trying to say, man, this biochemistry, I'm getting C's and D's when I should be getting A's and B's. And then I'm doing something that I did not go to any school for. Nobody taught me how to write, and nobody had taught me how to publish a magazine. And I'm doing it so naturally, and people are appreciating it, and are even ready to pay for it. So there's that struggle of wanting to just give up and start all over again. Let me just go and study mass comm. But in Nigeria, you can't do that without your parents' support. For those of us who are not stubborn, so I had to look for a way. What has helped me really is a sense of purpose. I'm not just. I'm very conscious of purpose. What is my purpose in life? Why am I alive? Why was I created by God at this time? Why am I on earth at this time? So having that sense of purpose, I knew almost 100% that this degree in biochemistry, I'm not sure I'm going to look for a job with it. I kind of believe this thing I'm doing as a natural talent is what I'm really going to spend my life doing. So I just needed not to fail in any class. I needed a situation where I would graduate when my mates were graduating. So I didn't have that pressure of trying to be the one who graduated with 2-1 or first class. I just wanted to graduate. So I gave enough attention to my studies to ensure I passed my exams and moved to the next level, right? But I gave my all, my passion, my ideas, my visioning, and everything to what I was doing in media. So that having that sense of purpose and understanding what you think your purpose on earth is helps you to now decide, because you cannot give equal attention to both, really.
Hmm.
You will have to decide which one takes priority, and I found out mine, and I just looked for that way to make sure I balanced and I didn't drop out, because I didn't want to be I wasn't going to be a dropout. For crying out loud, my father is a lecturer, my mom is a teacher. You cannot come and disgrace your family. So I had to pass this two. So right, we're good. Let's go. Yeah, and then ensure that my passion did not die. Yeah, that's how
Hmm.
I did it.
Wow. Wow, great. You made mention of something, the sense of purpose, being conscious of purpose, how to discovering purpose early in life, and then run with
Yeah.
it. So Now let's quickly come over now. So it's obvious that your establishment or your sense of purpose was more expressed during your masters, from what you have said so far. And now that
Yeah.
also coincides
Yeah.
with the time that you were doing your studying in nutrition. How
Yeah.
were you able to maximize the two together? This time around is about nutrition, which was found in its expression in you, and at the same time, your passion, or which also is being established in you. How were you able to um, put it two together? How did you handle the frustration? How were you able to also seize the opportunity? Because you also talk about the fact that there was a project that you did, um, that one of your lecturer brought to your attention, and that your class did. How were you able to maximize all this together? Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say my MSc opportunity as a student was the deal breaker for me. Like, it freed me from every struggle I had, because I always had that thing in my mind, that struggle trying to fight. Come, should I just stay with this my science, biochemistry or nutrition, or should I just focus on media? Let me just. But by the time I came to class for my MSc and listened to Dr. Samuel talking about community nutrition, listen to these lecturers talking about how, public health nutrition and the opportunities that are there. So it's not just about research. It's not just about being in the hospital and dealing with patients, right? And trying to solve various nutrition problems in the hospital. I could actually focus on educating people. So that was like the answer to my question. So I can actually stay as a nutritionist and focus on being an educator. Okay, I can focus on creating platforms and materials that can educate people on nutrition. So once I found that out, I decided I'm going to enjoy this and I'm going to stay here. So I didn't struggle anymore. In fact, I paid so much attention to this part of to nutrition now, because I really wanted to understand, if you want to educate people, if you want to get them to begin to change their behavior, doing. So it kind of drew me into nutrition. I really now wanted to understand nutrition, the importance of nutrition in society, in life of individuals. So I think for me, what happened as a postgraduate student was more like freedom. I found my place, so I can still be in the sciences, public health, and still practice being a communicator. So that was like a deal breaker for me. So I did not struggle at that point. I stayed with it. When those project opportunities came, I put in my all. My creative juices came. Was easy to. We came up with. I think I even wrote that script, a drama script for the community drama, without any training from anywhere, but it just came naturally. So I was able to express that communication part of me, okay, the media part of me in nutrition. Once I was able to do that, I was very happy and I didn't struggle. I didn't struggle again. I couldn't do that when I was studying biochemistry. So that's why I had that war inside me, trying to decide on where should I focus on. But by the time I came for my MSc and began to know more about public health nutrition, nutrition education, community nutrition, that was it for me. So it was a fit. I saw a fit where I could fit myself
Hmm.
uh, and still practice as a communicator, but in public health.
Wow. Wow. Great. Interesting. So, I'm now beginning to wonder, perhaps what really, because generally when people do masters, they end there. I will believe strongly that PhD is for those who are into lecturing, or for those who are core bookish people who their life they just have to read, or must it be that you must do PhD before you make it as a nutrition graduate? Right. So why, what motivated you into getting PhD? All right, because we need to really understand what you're doing is not you're into media, so now you are venturing into the world of the scholarly people. So what motivated you into that? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Remember, I said I saw the opportunity in nutrition as an educator, and I really found my feet there. I wanted to stay there, right? So I also thought um, I should educate, so I should be I could be a lecturer. I've always wanted to teach, honestly. And in Nigeria, if you want to lecture in a university, most times, I think all the time, you have a better opportunity or advantage when you have a PhD in a particular field of study. So that was my first motivation. I was like, I want to teach. I'm interested in being a lecturer. I just want to teach. I like to share information. I like to educate people. So that was my first motivation for going in for my PhD. The second motivation, which was a question I was asked during my interview, my PhD application interview, I was asked, why do you want to do a PhD? And my response was, in the environment I found myself, specifically Nigeria, you have more respect. You're seen as a thought leader, someone who knows what they're doing when you have a PhD. And for the vision and ideas I have as a nutritionist, I believe people will listen to me more, or people will pay attention to what I'm saying better if I have that degree attached to my name. So those are the two reasons why I decided to go further to do a PhD.
Hmm. Wow, interesting. So you know, this is very interesting because many people may not see um, PhD degree as a strategy for relevance, and you just that's what you just tell us now. It's actually it's really a strategy for to some strategy for relevance, so that you will be able to communicate effectively, and then also being able to say that yes, you know your honor, and then all that you are saying with authority, because anyone who is a
Exactly.
PhD holder and is speaking on a subject matter, the person is speaking as an authority in that subject area. So before we move to
Yeah.
other things now, maybe you should just tell us about your organization. What specifically do you do? All right. We know that you are into media, multimedia. All right. What you do? We know that you are very active on Twitter. All right. So we see your posts on Twitter, and then we see your influence. We see that you dine with the kings, and not just mere men. So tell us about what you do, because perhaps
Okay.
we have one or two students that perhaps will listen to us or watching us now, who is also passionate about what you do, and then there could be a network, there could be a connection, there could be a spark that they can pick from what you're doing. Their vision is your current reality. Tell us about what you do.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So Tio Inspiro International, I said earlier, it's a media production company. But what we really do is we have we provide various services that are in the media space. So we provide photography coverage, photo and video coverage for events. We produce documentaries, promotional documentaries for organizations, documentaries for non-profit organizations, maybe their projects, they want to share the impact of their project. So we do that, we produce documentaries, and we're looking into going into film production too. So basically, that's like in summary what we do at Tio Inspiro. We have training programs, and then we have internship programs just to allow give an opportunity to younger people who are coming, trying to build their career in this industry, in whatever area of the industry, whether it's in videography, photography, motion graphics, video editing, or whatever. So we have a platform that gives them that opportunity. At Tio Inspiro, we're very passionate about telling the beautiful stories of Africa. I'm passionate about this because growing up, and even I think even till now, you see that Western media or big media houses that are offshore usually want to stay with a negative narrative, or a narrative that doesn't really paint a positive picture of Africa. So I've taken it upon myself to build a team that tells the story, beautiful stories of Africa, um, different places, our culture. So we've been to our Google Fishing Festival. We've done a documentary on Ikorodu, and we look forward to doing more Afrocentric stories to push our own narrative. Because if you don't tell your own story, other people will they would keep giving you a narrative that might not be true. So if you the US is not all paved with gold. It's not all beautiful places and trees. There are slums, okay, but you don't see them positioning themselves that way, and we cannot expect them to do that for us. So Tio Inspiro, our vision is our motto is to showcase the beauty of Africa, and that's what we begin to do with the different projects that we do in house.
Yeah, interesting. While we're talking, it reminded me of a project that you and I abandoned a few months ago, and I think we might also want to pick it up from there, which is for us to tell the beautiful story of nutrition in Nigeria. You can perhaps be part of the project that you may want to look into. Everything that we hear is that malnutrition is a big problem in Nigeria. Yes, we know that 4 out of 10 children in Nigeria are malnourished. Yes, we know that there's increase in the burden of non-communicable disease. Yes, we
Mm,
know
mm,
that the rate at which people are having dietherapy intervention in the hospitals are actually increasing. Nevertheless, I think we still have some beautiful story to tell. We may also look into that in the nearest. So, guys, look forward to. I'm putting you on the spot now, Fego. That yeah, there will be a beautiful story of nutrition that your organization is going to put together. Of course, well, we'll see how perhaps with the Nutrition Society of Nigeria, how that can be a reality. So, moving forward,
yeah, to actually be able to highlight the achievements of nutrition in
yeah,
Nigeria. Yeah, not just
yes,
raising the problems. I don't. Yeah.
yeah. So I think I've put you on the spot, and I think that will be a reality eventually. So moving forward,
Okay.
if I may ask, now that you are doing this, has ever been a time in your career as a um, multimedia producer that the call for uh, professionalism in nutrition was brought to the table? Can you share your experience where you were find yourself you didn't go in to talk as a nutritionist or dietitian, but the circumstances opened up and then you were brought on the spot? Can you recall of any of such scenario in the course of your professional engagement?
No, no, I cannot at the moment. But I know that I've been in, for instance, I'm at an event where maybe a medical professional is the speaker, right? And they make comments or statements. And as a nutritionist, I know that you cannot just make such blanket statements about nutrition and food. But hey, I'm here as a photographer or videographer, so I zip and then maybe have a conversation with the person later on
Okay.
about those topics. But I've been very fortunate, blessed to also have the opportunity to run a nutrition consulting organization. So Nutritional Fitness Nigeria, NutriFit, is also a consulting firm where we focus on research, policy research, and advocacy. And I've had opportunity to also come into events in my capacity as a nutritionist and someone who has that level of um, authority to speak when it comes to nutrition. So we have done trainings for organizations as a nutritionist. So last year we also had this the survey, National Nutrition Survey, which I was a part of. I was the zonal supervisor for South region. So I have not. The thing is, I've not just abandoned my degree in nutrition. I am actually operating both. But if you're going to ask me about if I was dividing my time, how it looks at the moment, I have maybe 70% practicing as a media professional or media entrepreneur, and then the other 30% practicing as a nutritionist. I have plans and ideas for how we can push nutrition forward. We just set up public health matters, um, and we're looking at other products and services we can push from my nutrition consulting firm. So I have not just abandoned nutrition. I've had the opportunity to also practice, but I'm not in the clinic. I'm not the hospital one. I'm the one who is in the community, who wants to talk to everybody in the community about nutrition. I'm the one who wants to educate using giving any platform, whether it's young people or adults or elderly. I want to share. I even had an opportunity recently to look at how nutrition, looking at the food system framework, the global food system framework, and how nutrition plays a role, agriculture, climate change. So I've had the opportunity to keep my knowledge in nutrition and update it, and also use it to serve while I practice as a media entrepreneur.
Wow, thank you so much. This is very inspiring. For some of us that those of us rather that our passion is calling for attention, and then we find ourselves in nutrition. Now, this is an example of someone whose time, 70% of our time is being used for something outside nutrition, while only 30% of our time is being used for nutrition. And she has that sense of purpose, which is the most important thing. Purpose, a sense of purpose. So, what would you say, Fego, um, about class of degree, uh, first class, uh, PhD grade, um, pass? Because quite a number of us, I must confess to you, quite a number of us, we often give up when we don't finish with outstanding results. We often say that the university gave me a pass. All right, not that we hand it here. The university gave me a pass or they gave me two. Okay, but whether it was given or we collected it or we hand it, the truth of the matter is that many of us are not often satisfied with the class of degree that we have, and we see this as an hindrance to our career engagement, our career achievement, and many often withdraw themselves to push forward in life, and it often affects them. Many even uh, get to a level where they got depressed about it. What will you say? Do you think certificate alone can take us far in life?
Okay, so the answer is no. Certificate alone cannot take you far in life. Um, it's a combination of various factors. And if I go back to my story as an undergraduate, where I was struggling with biochemistry, and then trying to run a media business, it comes back to the sense of purpose. Okay, what do I really believe I'm supposed to be doing, and where do I think I'm going to really spend my time as an adult or someone who is contributing to society. Once you're able to know that, at that point, I just settled, okay, I know I don't want to graduate with a third class. I don't want to have any extra years. So I put in the effort that gets me whatever that result that will not be a pass or a third class. So, but right now we're talking about people who already have a particular grade, right? The world has changed. There is less emphasis on certificates as per grade, except you have a plan to go into academics. You want to do research, and so you have to do your MSc and then have a PhD and all to really grow in that career path. But if you're not planning to be in an academic environment or research or those kind of scholarly sector, then really, but for today, if I'm recruiting staff, I'm not asking what school did you attend. I'm not asking what degree did you graduate from. The first question I'm asking is, how did you learn to use the camera? How many years have you been using the camera? Can you edit? What's your skill level when you are editing? So it's about the skill. So if you did a course that you really are not passionate about, you just did it to pass and have a degree. But you have a skill that you are passionate about, that's your real place of passion and purpose, then invest in that skill. Ensure that you are like, when you are in a room, you should be among the best who knows almost everything about that skill. So that when the opportunity comes, you are there and you are ready to show your skill. If you keep putting yourself down because I didn't pass with a good grade or whatever, then you would not really advance in life. For me, I keep saying that while I had an MSc in nutrition, by the time I saw that media was taking priority in my life and even my business, I had to go for an MSc in media and communication. Yes, I have an MSc in media and communication. At some point, your natural giftings will not be enough. So you have to add more knowledge. You have to get the certification, right? But it comes by the time you are doing things in a place of purpose and something you are interested in, you are passionate about, you see yourself coming out in flying colors. You don't have to struggle. Most of us struggle because we're doing things that we're not really interested in. We're just doing it because we have to go to school and pass, have a certificate and be graduate. So for anybody who already has a certificate that they feel like it's not good enough, that's not true. There are even opportunities, even universities abroad that admit people who have third class. All you need to do is prove that you've done some other thing that makes you a master in that skill or in that thing you are coming to do. So if you have a pass or a third class in nutrition and you're feeling that's the end of the road, that's not the end. We need a lot of nutritionists in the community health centers, the primary health centers. Go there and volunteer. Volunteer for 6 months. You will see the impact you are going to be making. And before you know it, you might even start a business. People might start inviting you, churches, the nurse that you met them, I want to invite you to our children's school to come and speak on nutrition. As you're leaving, they are giving you an envelope or honorarium. Before you know it, you're already building a business as a nutritionist without getting any job anywhere. You're volunteering 6 months at that community health center. You are volunteering at a non-profit or something. And before you know it, you're applying for an MSc somewhere abroad. And they're asking you for what is your motivation or what is the proof? What have you been doing with this degree that you have in the last 1 year? You have pictures, you have stories to tell of your experience of volunteering at the primary health center in your community. So you cannot just stay and say that's the end of the road. There's nothing else I can do about this. There's something you can do. You can do something to improve your skill level. So you might not have the degree that shows you are the best when it comes to nutrition, but you can have work experience, if I should call it that. You can have practical experience, no more theory, because most times school is theory. You can have practical experience that stands you out. If you're interested in clinical nutrition, dietetics, then you volunteer at a hospital, supporting the nutritionist or the consultant that is at that hospital. You gain experience on the job, and then you add that to your CV. So people will just walk past. I don't even know whether we still include our class of degree in CVs. We don't. We just put BSc Human Nutrition and Dietetics. You don't have to say 2-1 or 2-2. You just put it there. It's for those of them who have 2-1 and first class. I have to put it there so that everybody sees it. But if you don't have those kinds of degree, you don't have to put it there. Okay, but by the time I begin to see your experience, I've volunteered in social community hospital. I volunteered on gain project. I volunteered at NSN conference. And I begin to see somebody who is passionate about this thing and wants to really build a career in it. That is a more interesting skill for me as an employer than someone who just brandishes first class and has no experience, just waiting to get a job that will pay them high because they have first class. So I don't think it's the end of the road for anyone who doesn't have the class of degree they really want. Just gain enough experience with that, with whatever you have, and you might even be in a better position to shine.
Wow, this is very deep, very very deep and inspiring. I mean, I actually had to write some things down. A few things that I put down together from what you have said so far is the fact that we have to identify our skills. So identify your skill set, then also invest in your skill until you become competent. Invest in your skill until you become competent in that you really have passion for. Number three is to find a means of expression. Find a means of expression. Maybe there's a project that you feel your skills will be required of. Try and volunteer with them and find a way to get yourself express that which is within you. Then talent is not enough to bring about fulfillment. You need to invest in yourself. Because you are passionate about it does not mean that that is it all right. There's still a need for you to invest in your talent. You heard her talking about the fact that she has passion for media, and yet she still went ahead to get a degree in media and then communication. So this means that talent is not enough to bring about sense of fulfillment. She also talked about the fact that there's a room for you to volunteer, and when you are volunteering, don't volunteer for money, rather volunteer for impact. Volunteer for impact, and then document your story. Document your story. People will not ask you um how do you do it. They will rather ask you, show me what you have done. And I think you need to document your story. I mean, in next series or few series that we're going to organize in the next couple of months to come, we'll talk about how you can document your story through social media, through your LinkedIn or through your Twitter, through your Instagram. How you can document your story, and then people will be able to see what you're doing. And lastly, I wrote something here that experience expose your employability. Experience expose your employability. If you're able to do this, volunteer, all right, document your story, let people see what you have done. It shows how experienced you are. There's no little experience or bigger experience. Experience is experience, and I can tell you, experience will definitely expose you to someone that you are there and they can actually employ you. Thank you so much, Dr. Fego, for your time today. If I may ask you this last question, what will you say, like a word of advice to some student or us, we student that we have passion, we are currently where you were a few years back? What would be your word of advice?
Okay, thank you. My advice would be um, you need to take some time, just sit down with a pen and paper and outline what you really want to achieve in life. What is really your core? What's really important to you in life? If you have a sense of purpose and what you believe you are called to do on earth, then bring that to the fore and ask yourself, this passion that I have, is this going to lead me to fulfill that purpose, that thing that I have as a sense of purpose? Or this academic pursuit I'm having, is it going to lead me to have a sense of purpose? Number two, is there a way to combine both? Is there a link? You might be very surprised. You are so interested in coding or programming, and you feel like there's no room for me as a nutritionist to be coding. It's not true. I'm thinking about developing an app, a nutrition app. For crying out loud, who does that? A programmer, a code. So I would even prefer someone who has a knowledge of nutrition to do that job for me than someone who is just there as a creative and just wants to design. It's going to be easier to work with someone who understands nutrition than someone who doesn't. So there might be a way to combine both your passion and your academic pursuit. So you need that time to really settle down and think about it deeply. I think number three, ensure you graduate with a good grade. At least do not have an extra year. Do not drop off from your academic pursuit just because of a passion. At the end of the day, you need a degree. Okay, you just need a degree. Even if you don't have a degree in that passion, just have a degree. In Nigeria that we're living in, you need a degree to even step into the door. Okay, so let that degree introduce you. I have a BSc in whatever, but I'm a graphic designer. Then it even makes the conversation more interesting. Oh, really? How is someone who is a nutritionist now a photographer? Then you begin to share your story. By the time you're leaving that interview room, the person is so interested in about your story, and you have kept yourself in that person's memory. Okay, you are different from every kind. So it's normal to have that struggle. I want you to know it's natural, but you at some point you have to sit down and outline what's my purpose, how does this passion align with my purpose, between my passion and my academic pursuit, which one really helps me to have that sense of fulfillment. Okay, focus on that one. Then number three or number four, how do I align both passions now, both the academic pursuit, and if it doesn't align, there's no offense in having a degree and not practicing it at all. You can decide to just focus on whatever that passion is, get more certification on it, and you would be successful. Success is a journey. There's no particular destination called success. Success has to be defined by you as an individual. So whatever that success means to you, you need to know what it is and decide on which of these two is going to get you to that place. Finally, you need to think about what's going to put food on your table. Okay, your parents did not pay your school fees, or you did not struggle to pay school fees yourself to come out, graduate, and not be able to take care of yourself and maybe do things for yourself. So you also need to think about the economic value of whatever it is. Does my passion, am I skilled enough in this passion to be paid for it? Okay, do I have enough of that skill to be paid for it? Or should I just maybe when I graduate, get a job with this educational pursuit, get a job, earn some money while I now begin to invest in this passion that I have for it to come up to a position where people can now decide to pay me for this passion. Because if you decide to just follow your passion and it does not have any economic value, you're going to be stressing a lot of people in your life, and nobody wants to be a stressor. Nobody wants to depend on others for financial needs. So you need to think about the economics of that passion. Is it going to put food on my table? Is it going to pay my rent? Is it going to take care of my family? So if it's not going to, why? Do I need to upskill? Do I need to get more experience or skill? Okay. So I think that's basically what my advice would be. I hope it makes sense to people listening.
Wow, this is very, very inspiring. Thank you so much, Fego, for these words of wisdom. We really appreciate it for your time. I know you're a very busy person. For me to get you on a Saturday like this, it means that you really sacrifice. I really appreciate you. Now you've listened to our dear friend Dr. Fego, who actually spared in the last 50-55 minutes with us so far, and we have had quite a number of things from her. Please, everything that she has shared today are based on her experience, are based on her exposure as well. And one or two things I feel strongly that you have been able to grab from my own parting words with you is this. Definitely, I understand the fact that you'll be torn between the world of academics and your passion, especially for those who have stayed at home for years, for some months, or for some time, and you have been able to move to other things. Now that everything is coming back to normal, you're getting back to school, there's a need for you to strike a balance. Yes, you have discovered yourself, but do not abandon your education. Do not abandon your academics. There's always a point where both of them will meet, and then they'll be able to fetch you the future that you so desire. You remember that success is a journey, and then whatever success that you want, you so desire, you define it. You actually say, "This is who I want to become, or this is what I want to experience." And I also want to tell you that don't see yourself as a liability. See yourself as an asset. An asset. Always see yourself as an asset. Whatever skill set that you have, whatever talent that you have, whatever investment that you have made in yourself, see it as an asset that should appreciate and not depreciate. Focus on it. And most importantly, strike a balance between your academics and your talent, your passion, your interest. Please, again, I repeat, strike that balance so that one will not suffer from the other. Of course, it does not have to be 50-50%. No. You can hear, you heard Dr. Fego talking earlier that so for her, the balance is 70-30. For you, it could be 40-60. All right. Please see yourself as an asset and balance the two together. Balance your academics and balance your passion, your giftings, your talent. And of course, you remember what I said earlier, invest in your talent, build on your skill set, because that skill set, people are looking for it. And don't see yourself as someone who is a non-entity. You are an asset, and they will definitely need your skill, will definitely need your giftings to navigate through life. Once again, I appreciate you for joining us today for this session. We still have other series to come, and I know strongly that you are going to enjoy or learn or benefit from the wealth of experience that we're going to have from our next series that we're going to have. We have someone who is a practicing dietitian and at the same time a photographer. We also have a fashion designer. You know, fashion. I noticed that fashion design is one of the profession that is maybe everybody's a fashion designer now. Everybody, nearly everyone is going to fashion design now. So I mean, we also have somebody who is an established fashion stylist who will also share her story with us, as she moved from being a student and to becoming a business personality. Once again, thank you so much, Fego, for joining us today. We really appreciate you, and we look forward to the expression that will see through your organization. We look forward to, and I'm sure that if we reach out to you for mentorship, for guidance, for anyone who is interested, I'm sure you'll be willing to support in that regard. So if you need any question, anything whatsoever, please feel free to reach out to me or to anyone in NSN, especially the executive of the NSN. Will definitely go extra mile to ensure that you discover yourself and you get yourself established. Thank you so much, and then have a wonderful day ahead. So please listen to this video over and over again. Thank you so much, Fego, again. And then I pray
Thank
that
you.
God will order your step and you enjoy your
Um,
weekend. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Bye. Yeah.